You good to go? Let's go.
Darwin Dev, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, mate.
You are a general manager in Alwasal Waters, and you are a sports person. You
Right.
also are a rap artist.
Yeah.
That's lots and lots of hats.
Well, yeah. I mean, since I was a kid, I always wanted to kind of excel in different areas. So, always what stood out to me was entertainment, and so that's where the rapping comes in. Education, my actual field. Even though you've introduced me as a general manager, I was an aerospace engineer. Well, I still believe I am because that is what I've studied in.
Okay.
And sports, I've always been passionate about sports, so football. So I always knew that I wanted to do something in these three sectors, and I guess I'm just grateful that I carried it out until now, at least. So yeah,
Tell us your journey. So you're from India.
yeah.
You studied in India.
No, so I was born and raised in Dubai, and I went to high school here, Indian high school, and then I moved to Sharjah, did 2 years there. I did my aviation studies here in Emirates Aviation College, and then I moved to London, Kingston. I did my bachelor's and master's there, and I got a job there in the aerospace field, and worked there I was in London about 8 years, and then that's when I sort of came back. I've had a realization, if you would say. So basically what I wanted to do was, it was getting too corporate for me. My body was like a clock. I was just like a robot. I was getting up on time. Everything was just so on time. And one day this just woke up. What happened to me was I was just not enjoying it anymore. And I'm always the kind of person, always whatever I do, no matter how big, there's nothing small for me. I always give it 100%, no matter what it is, what kind of commitment I'm in. So one time I went to work on that day I went to work, and I didn't feel like I was giving 100% of my energy into it. And I came back home that day, and I thought to myself, and this is when my, let's say, rapping career, but, I was always rapping. We had a studio there in Kingston University. My friend was a producer, so we would go part-time, and, he would make beats, and I would rap over it. So this is how we would kill our other time. So what I thought is I want to do something different, because now, okay, let's say I've spent 5 years now. I've got great experience. I've, progressed every year in my corporate ladder, let's say. And I thought I needed to do something for myself, something that I was more passionate about, and these things that was just coming naturally to me, because I always thought I was passionate about aeronautics, aviation, and I was up until that point. I don't know what happened, but I was just not enjoying it anymore, and it felt like a struggle to even wake up. Like I told you, my body was like a clock. But then the next day would be, for example, I'd wake up and I'd be like, I'd just lay in bed, and that's, I don't know if a lot of people would kind of relate to that feeling. I think many would do. So what happened is I just resigned within 2 days. I didn't tell no one, not family, nothing. I just resigned, went and told my manager that I wanted a new challenge, but obviously that's what I'd tell them. And all I wanted to do was take a year out, go back to India. I'm from Kerala originally. So from Cochin, I know there's a lot of people in the entertainment industry through my sister, a lot of contacts. So I thought I'd go there, spend a few months. I had a lot of songs written, a lot of songs that were not professionally produced. So I thought, okay, let me spend some time in Cochin, get all that done, and then come back to the UK. So that was my plan. So what happened was I left within a month. I came first to Dubai. Obviously my parents were here. I told them, they thought I was coming for a vacation, right? So I literally turned up at the doorstep, and I had no plan. There was no saved money. Like I had enough money for maybe a couple of months. I had no vigorous plan. All I know that I wanted to do something different in this part of my life. So I came up and I told my parents. They're like, "Oh, what's going on? You didn't tell us." I said, "Look, I resigned," and they're like, and completely flipped, because it's usually people go the other way, right? People say like go to UK, US for higher education, settle down there. There's a whole thing about getting their passports, the PR, and so on. So I came back the other way, saying I had enough of that, and so that was a challenge at first to make my parents understand what it was, because I had no definite plan with myself. So that they were asking me, "What was your plan?" And I said, I just wanted to take some time out. And then, they would all come about how would you support yourself and all that. which I didn't really. All I thought about was I could live with the bare minimum, the shelter, food, this stuff. I could do it, but as long as I'd like to do some music and get that part of me outside than just the confines of my computer or phone. So what I did was, within a month, I went to Kerala, where my sister was, and in coaching. So I spent some time there. I just went all out in music. We formed a band, and then I went solo. That's where I recorded my first music video, and it was basically there was no budget, so I had to basically hustle. What I did was I went to a music or drama college. I waited down. I waited for people to come out at the when the college would leave, and I literally just spoke to people saying that, would you be interested to shoot a video? I have this idea with me. So my idea was fusion based. I rap in English and then fuse it with different languages. So I thought that would be a great product to sell, or to entice a team who could work with me. What I did, I found one person who was interested, who would just okay with. I told him, look, I'll provide you food and shelter for the duration of the shoot, because that's all I had with me, and they said they were okay. And so he came. We talked about this project. He created a 5-member team. So everyone down from the editor, videographer, literally the shoot, actress, everything. We got that done, and we shot the first video, and it did really well. So the first video was shot in my house in Kerala. So we just confined it, and there was just a 5-second video outside that we shot on the street, and that was it. So a bare minimum budget and just the idea, and it worked really well. The news channels came, they interviewed me, 2 of them, then came down to Dubai for a month. Over here as well, that got spread. So, and boom, now suddenly parents are on my side. So they're like, all right, you got something, right? So they said, okay, so this is not a total waste, right? So why you came back? And so what I did was I continued that. But what I did not have was the monetary expense to do all this, to kind of go in this direction. So got me thinking, and so what happened was how I got into Al Water stems from here. So my mother is 25 years in this business. So that business got taken over by a corporate group. So what happened was she was not enjoying that anymore. And I saw this as an opportunity, because she was not enjoying, and I know that feeling of not enjoying what you're doing, something she was so passionate about, sales. She was head of sales, and she grew that company from they were like 5 people to 300 plus. So I saw that in her, and I was like, Mom, why don't we do something together? Like let's see, we can go form a company of ourselves, by ourselves, me and you take over sales. I'll take over everything else, because that's what I used to do in London. Now, albeit different product, but I could learn the product, right? So I had that belief. She was on board. What we did is we looked at different water companies on sale, and that's how we came to Al Water. We loved it, and we bought it 5 years ago. So that is the story of where the finance comes in. So I'm here in this position, as you introduced me, general manager and partner at Al Water. So that is the corporate side of me. So once that finance came in, and it took, obviously, I had to spend some time to work on this business, of course, because it was a fledgling business at that time. And God bless, we are still growing and in a good position. Hopefully, people can tell. So it took 2 years of just tunnel vision to work on this business. So I had to park everything else on the side. But what happened was, once I got that funding, I kind of went all in music as well. And I've always been passionate about football. So I always thought that I would represent India at the World Cup at some point. And that was a dream to do that. But I got injured. I tore my ACL when I was 18, cried for like a week. And I thought that was it. My dreams are gone. I never even had that ACL repaired for 4 years, because I was just so upset. I said, because I lost everything. But that's when I went to the UK. I met a friend. He got me into coaching. He said, look, okay, you can't play properly anymore. You've lost your speed and everything. Let's see, whatever knowledge that you have, you could give it to the kids, the community. And I thought, okay, I'll try it out. And I went to the first session, and I loved it. the kids, the energy around being around kids, and just the way they talk and all that. I loved it. It took over me, and I found a new calling in football coaching. I straight away got my ACL surgery done, and so I could kick a ball properly and run. And I got my coaching licenses, coaching badges as well on the side. This is while I was working in the UK. And I do that on the side too now. So every Friday, I have a friend who runs an academy. So I partner with him and just volunteer helping kids out. So that's basically the essence of where I am right now.
So a few questions.
Sure.
So you said you went back to Kerala, where your sister was.
Yeah.
So and you got introduced to a lot of people who do music. So is she in the same field? Is she in music as well?
No, she's a dentist, but she's a trained classical dancer. She's been doing that 25 plus years professionally. And she's also a trained singer, classical singer. So with that in mind, she was also the original female lead vocal in my band that we created. So she had that artistry in herself. So through that, I got the other contacts.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah. So you are a family of talented people.
Yeah, I'd like to say so. I've been blessed, so grateful that my dad, he used to work in service in the Navy, Indian Navy. So that's always been he's always been so disciplined. That big masculine energy was always there, and I loved it. I used to be an athlete growing up, go for athletics and all these sports. He would wake me up 5 o'clock in the morning every day, take me to Safa Park in Jumeirah, if people know, and clock me every day morning running and make sure my times are better. He would make me do push-ups. He would do push-ups with me. So this was a great father figure that I had, very masculine, until he had to, for work, move to Abu Dhabi and then come back. So that was there. And my mom, obviously, she also took on a role of that masculine, providing energy, when my dad had to go away for work, and she got into this business. So it was kind of just me and my sister, mostly by ourselves. So, and they would give us the freedom to be creative. They always pushed us out. My mom took my sister to, music classes. They said, education is not everything. So they wanted to more for ourselves. So I think that really stemmed from there. And growing up as a kid, this is all I cared about was these three things. And right now, all I care about is doing these three things in the best of way possible, so that even I can give back or be of service to other people at the same time as well through my experiences. Of course, everything is a journey still, but yeah.
I know you're doing football and volunteering.
Yeah.
You wake up every morning and play with a group that I know as well. So
yes, that's how we met.
Yeah, that again requires discipline, because they are very disciplined.
Yes, 5 o'clock in the morning every day. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one. So you're doing football still, that I know of. I know you're doing a very good job as a general manager and partner in Al Wasl Waters, because recently you got an award for that. Again, we're going to speak in detail about.
Okay.
What about the music? Because you said that you bought the company 5 years ago, and you worked really hard.
Yeah.
And you're still working very hard for it to do its best and more. How do you manage music with that?
So great question, because first 2 years, like I said, I put that on the side because I wanted to focus on the business to allow myself that leeway in the future to get back into music again. Because I always put music on the side because I believe that anything you put out should be of great content and value, because otherwise it would just miss the message, basically. And so what I did was, once I was able to do that, able to have the funding to produce the music and the music videos, I put just 2 good years in that. So what I did was every 3 months I would come out with a music video, because that's my timeline I would give myself. Every 3 months, come out with a video. I've got 20 plus songs written down. What happened was last year I went through a period of self-realization, let's say, or transformation within myself over the last 2 years. So I parked music again, and I thought I need to work on myself a bit more personally. So this is where, the transformation award that I won, which was so personal for me as well, because it was more an internal transformation first than what happened, what people would see outside, or my influence to other people. So I felt that was a big thing. So the transformation basically was, as we grew up as, let's say, Indian men, for example, or how men are perceived around always macho, always being the provider, always having that action to do person as left. So I thought that was it. That's what being a man is about. And but it's only when I open myself to spirituality, let's say. Okay, so spirituality is basically like, you guys are, it's a knowing of a belief in you that you are more than just a human, more than just sensory objects, basically. So that's when you let go of all your ego and you are within yourself. And once I got into that, I tapped into my, let's say, feminine energy, they call it. What it is, feminine energy allows to you to love yourself, it's all about intuition, and all about letting it flow and letting it come to you, basically. So once I tapped into that as well, I found myself being so grounded, and it helped me so much within my business as well, because it just changed the way I behaved with people, changed the way I led the organization. At the start, I was I loved the aggressive approach. I said, okay, we have this 5-year vision. I wrote down for Al Wasl. 2018, we started the business. This is the 5th year, 2023, and we are where we want to be right now, even though the pandemic hit, but we are where we want to be. And it was all basically an inner transformation that helped me shape the outside as well. So we added a lot of, practices, even within work, meditation, for example. Every meeting, we start out with meditation. Every day we start off with the gratitude list. I ask each and every member of our team, what are you grateful for today? Because it's so, and this is what I do every morning as well. So this is so very important to keep yourself grounded and keep your focus within the game, because I know when at that time in the UK, when I just had no purpose, I woke up in the morning and I felt, what am I doing? But right now, God bless, I'm so grateful that I have been given an avenue, that I've been able to work out a path, that I have these 3 things with me that makes me fulfilled. Like when I go to sleep at night, I know that, once I've done these things, I have provided, I have been of service, I've helped people I can help, and I go to sleep really well. So that's really great for me.
Which is very nice, because sometimes to know the complete self is essential. Again, I agree with you when it comes to how men are perceived. Yeah, the expectation is a bit too harsh. And I realized that when you said that when you tore your ACL, you cried for a week.
Yeah.
Not many people would admit that.
Sure.
Yeah, but that takes a lot to admit. And again, it's supposed to be normal, because we can't always be tough.
Yeah,
we have to go through our phases as well.
Exactly, because it's dreams, right? So every kid is, I'd say you dream. Now, what happens? Okay, let's say I've read so much about this. Let's say athletes, we all have a vision, what we want for our life. Let's say most of us, and once we have that vision, or we have a goal, let's say we want to be number 1 in this field, for example. What happens after that? Okay, you've done 5-10 years of work to become number 1 in your field. What about after that? And I've read a lot of studies, for example, they would say is like, once the athlete becomes number 1, then they get depressed, or then they just don't know what to do, because they have achieved their goal in life. I am number 1 in this industry or in this field right now. What do I do next? So I think what I found out was, even though we all like to be number 1 in this field, like right now you're doing this great podcast, you want it to become the number 1 podcast in the world, let's say, for example.
Yes.
So great.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just giving an example that these are all visions we have. So what I felt, where I found stability, was treating as life as a continuum. So not just one goal. So if once you get there, you know what to do next, but you already have that within you before, planned out. Because once you get there, and then you're like, what now? And then suddenly you probably must have heard stories of people just giving up everything once they reach that goal, or giving up all that. We'd be like, all right, great. They succeeded. They don't have to do it anymore. Totally up to them. So that things happens to you. But when you treat life as a continuum, when it just goes on, you just know that everything is just flowing. Everything is energy anyway. So when you're just giving and taking in that period of just giving and receiving, it just kind of grounds you. And because, we're not blessed with tomorrow, right? We're not, but we know that, okay, like for example, this podcast, like you knew a month ago, you put it down in your diary, I put it down in a diary, and we're coming and sat here. So same thing we could do like 5 years later, right? So 5 years, who do we want to be right now? Even in companies which I, go and talk to people about, the way a lot of them have short-term goals, for example, and they don't know that as short-term goals or anything. They just know, okay, this is how we sell, this is how we sell it, this is how we sell our product. But in 5 years, what do you want to do with your company? Are you going to sell it in 5 years? So this is the question you ask them. And they're like, no, like this is our company. Why would we sell it? So, okay, so you know that you are going to be here for 5 years. So why not work for that 5 year, right? So put plans in place that will give you the dividends of profits in 5 years from now, not just working on the short-term goal. Because if you're going to do something anyway, might as well do it great, because in 5 years you're going to get there, because you are going to age. Time is going to move. So that is like a whole kind of realization maybe some people don't have, because they just, you just go in and out just working. Yeah, right now I want to do this. But once you just open up your vision a bit more to the future, I think, a lot of ideas will just flow through you.
So when you said that the transformation changed you and your style of running the organization, sure. Yes, there are many kinds of leaders. Some are very aggressive, and most of us would like to take that approach, because it's more like a top-down approach. Yeah. Especially in the initial phases when we need results, we work only on a certain thing just to get quick results, short-term goals.
Sure.
Yep. But again, like I just mentioned, short-term goals. It works only short-term, the aggressive. Yeah. So with the change, can you tell us what changes, what changed you as a leader, and how was your approach to what it is right now?
Sure. I think the first thing was, in every business, everything we do on a day-to-day life is we must know and acknowledge that 80% of it is human interaction, no matter what we are doing, because we are in a world of give and take. So it is 80% human interaction. And when I understood that was, let's say, a year or two down the line, because I thought I was very aggressive at the start of the business. I had my vision. We had a joint vision, goals for the company. We knew these are the processes to run. And coming from the aerospace field, it's very process-oriented. Health and safety is such a big thing. So anything you put a process out, you expect people to follow. The first thing, I wasn't getting people to follow it, because, I guess the nature and the culture of the people, I wouldn't understand why are they not doing it. What is it that I never asked myself, what is it that they need? I just said, this is right. Why are they not doing this? And I thought it's the people. So then, we would, how could we motivate them? What's the next question? The first, you could get rid of people if you wanted to, but that's really not the answer. So what was how do we motivate them to do these processes? So it was all in training, basically. So before that transformation happened, it was within myself that I know that I had to acknowledge that these people needed that opening in their minds or in their learning, because they were never accustomed to it before. So I guess that's where I spoke about, a little bit of meditation, gratitude, because we all here, our company's more 80%, labor supply work. So what they do is, and most of them have left their, families in India or foreign countries and come down here. So they're literally giving up everything, sacrificing a lot to be here. So once we understand that and make them understand as well why they're here and their purpose as well, so it's when they also realize that, okay, they put their hard work in, 5 years in, they will grow as well at the same time. So just incentivizing them, and not in monetary forms, but incentivizing them in a way that in 5 years they will become someone of more value at Al Wasl Water, let's say, for example, because the kind of training we're doing, because the kind of approach we are taking. And I guess that stems from everyday work. So literally it is a schedule. We come in every day, 7:30 in the morning, we all meet. We all say, 5 things. We all have a quote of the day. We have a meditation. We have a gratitude list. We say together a joint affirmation. We all say together, I join in with them. We say, I am the best. Today is my day. God is with me. We all scream that together before they all go into the market. So these things, I find that they play a huge role on how they go to the market, because, they go meet customers. You have to smile. It's really hot here in Dubai. So once you understand the situations and circumstances therein, I feel that the more you are flexible in your approach to them, I guess, the more they will be a sponge as well. Because you could just give out information, but if they are not in a mode of receiving, no matter what you say, it's not going to be acknowledged. So the main task was open them up in such a way that they receive the message. And I think that's a big part of that learning process for me. So, yeah.
Chasing your passion.
Yeah.
Let's go a bit more into the music side.
Sure.
You said your first video, you did not have much of a budget. It was done at your home. Was it the same video where you speak about your mum and coming back home?
No, that was the third one actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one was a bit of a fusion. The third one was a Mother's Day tribute that I did for my mom, and it was basically to acknowledge her and all the hard work that she's done for me and all the support that she's given me while I've just left everything and just come, because I admit it is a big surprise and shock as well. So at that time I was like, oh, why don't you understand what you guys don't understand? But once I realized that this is all just part, everyone is born and raised in a different way. They're of course a different generation to us, so their mindset is different. So for us to acknowledge, okay, that is that, and they are trying their best, and so that was just my way of telling her thank you. And that was that video. Yeah, that was called Dear Ma, inspired by Dear Ma by Tupac. But yeah, this was my version of it mixed with Malayalam, which is our native language in Kerala. And so yeah, that's how that came out.
So Davin, my niece, she likes arts and she's doing the subject media in one of the colleges in UAE. Okay. So for her and everybody like her who are dreamers and want to aspire and become artists or dancers, what advice do you have?
The first thing I'd say is that something what you're passionate about. So passion, if that is your passion, that's the first thing you ask her, first thing that she needs to realize, or everyone else needs to realize, like, what is my passion? Ask yourself. Because passion, whatever that field could be, you are going to excel because you're not going to think about the product, the output. You're just going to give all in. So once that is figured out, the next thing you need is clarity around it, because very important, even in the business mind or even a young person growing up, get clarity on what you want to do with it. And then it's just getting it monetized, because money is energy too. And we are in a materialistic world, which is a give and take of money. So if you have other things that you're passionate about, focus your energy, channel it into this passion. And, I'm sure that these things will then open so much more gateways so that she can do much, much more within herself. Because I have a lot of product, because, I love fitness. I'm into fitness too. But I could never have done this 5 years ago. I could never do all these three things what you're telling me. Just one. So I picked one. Which was being the general manager at Owasso Water. I picked one and I had just tunnel vision. So what I would advise people and your nieces, pick something they're passionate about. If she's passionate about media, great. Get her to go tunnel vision on it. Get her to just expedite it, make it as big as she can. So once she's there, she's then in a position to give more and also to add more to her repertoire, basically. Because what we do as individuals, sometimes, we have so many things that we want to do at some point. But, all these, what I see and read a lot of books, what they actually sell, the trick is not to add more. The trick is to cut out inessentials, right? So if you have, let's say, your life right now, let's say you look at your life right now, how you're living today, what are your essentials and inessentials? What are inessentials, meaning that's not serving you? It could be anything. It could be relationships. It could be habits, monetary habits, things that you do. You cut those things out, and when you do that, you see that suddenly your life becomes healthy, because now you're basing it around essentials that are then serving you to your purpose, which is, let's say, media. So everything that she's doing is to make this media dream her reality and much more bigger. So I think once she does that, and anyone else who does it, this is the approach I used. So, and it worked for me. So now I'm in a position where I can do so much. I can have my own time. I can, schedule things and do a lot of things within one day, which is why you said, you're doing a lot of things well, but I could only do that now. I've never done that before, not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago. So to get to this state of, being your own boss, let's say, and being in control of all your passions, I think that's a great approach.
Davin, it was refreshing listening to you when it comes to being an artist, a leader, and also a sports person who gives back. We would like to do this more often with you. So if ever there's anything that you want to speak about in any of this or otherwise, you're more than welcome.
Thank you for providing me with this platform. So if it's touched even one person, that's such a great thing.
That's the intention. I'm sure it has touched me. So
I appreciate that. Then it's great. I can go to sleep fulfilled today.
I'm glad.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Davin.
Thank you.